like the College Sustainability Report Card and LAD Universities, sites that tout which universities are being especially green with especially good sustainability policies. So let me tell you about the competitive marketplace. We got three big guns here. We got diversified multinationals like GE, Osram Slovenia, and Philips. They're vertically integrated, and they've done this either through strategic alliances or through acquiring companies and creating a subsidiary chain that allows them to produce the wafers, some of the small component parts, produce the bulbs themselves, package them, and sell them for consumers. The problem is they're selling them for consumers at $30 at this point in time. So their price is really high, and that's due in part to some of the way that they've structured their businesses. Another outlet where you can buy these is in do-it-yourself outlets like Home Depot or Lowe's. Again, they're experiencing really high prices at this point in time. So we consider our main competition to be lighting contractors. These are places that will put together a package for you, all of the different kinds of bulbs that you'll need, and provide them to you. They may even provide installation. Again, they're having to pass on costs that they're getting from their suppliers, and they're also having to cover some major overhead costs that we don't have, which gives us a significant competitive advantage over them as far as price point, because we don't have inventories and we don't have warehouses. So let me tell you a few qualitative things about our timeline, so as we see this business growing and sort of evolving as we go through year 0 through year 5. In year 0, the big number you want to look at will be our seed financing. So we'll need to get roughly $50,000 to cover some of our legal fees, incorporate, file for patents, and draft our contracts with our manufacturer and with our client, or our pilot clients that we'll see in year 1. So in year 1, the big thing is that we've got to get all that legal stuff squared away, and we've got to sign those pilot clients. Once we sign them, we start looking toward year 2. To get in year 2 is a real transitional year for us. We're having to sort of reevaluate how our business has gone so far and start thinking about the phase 2 of the business model as we roll into that in year 3. Year 2 is also a really great year because we're able to repay the seed financing with a 2x multiple. So we take the $50,000 that was given to us in year 0, take it and give them $100,000 back in year 2. We're able to do this thanks to getting the first part of our cash flows from those contracts that we sign in year 1. So now in year 2, once we finish with that, we roll into year 3 and phase 2 of our business plan. And the big task there is going to be securing our phase 2 loan for those client institutions at the beginning of phase 2. How we're going to do that is we're going to take our receivables that we get from our contracts with those clients, we're going to take them to a bank, and we're going to use the receivables as collateral to take a loan out to finance the installation and purchase of those bulbs for those schools. Once we get into year 4, we start to rethink our business model. At this point in time, we expect the market will have changed significantly. Prices are going to continue to decrease. Energy costs may have risen or stayed the same, and we expect the efficiency of the bulbs to increase as well. So we start to think about new growth opportunities, and year 4 is a great year for us because we finally take salary. And so you'll see that once we get into our financials. But once we start rolling into year 5, we start to consider exit options. These might include selling our remaining receivables contracts. They might also include acquisition by an energy company that could use this as an incentive program to increase energy efficiency throughout their power grid. Or we could talk about merging up into our manufacturer, such as Lighting Science Group, who's already been doing business with us. So let me tell you a few things about the numbers before we summarize here. In year 0, we've got 0 clients. The big number there is that $50,000 we have to take out to cover our legal expenses. And once we go into year 1, we start to see the revenue and expense from buying the bulbs and selling them cancel each other out. And our main expense there in operating income is going to be covering those attorney's fees and some other administrative and sales fees related to going out to these schools and bidding for these projects. Then once we get into year 2, we finally have a little bit of cash flow. The bottom line number there for net cash flow would be bigger, except that we've got cash out for repaying that seed investment of repaying the $50,000 at a 2x multiple for $100,000. So again, in year 2, we're starting to see some cash flow come in that makes us feel a little bit better about where we stand. Once we roll into phase 2 in year 3, we have a significant investment there of $281,000. That's the loan that we will need to cover the investment, cover the installation and purchase of the bulbs for our phase 2 client institutions. So what we'll do there, like I said before, is take sign the contract with the schools, take the receivables contract to the bank, and use it as collateral to take out a loan to finance those client institutions. So once we roll into year 4, like I said, it's a good year for us. We get paid. It's also a good year because we're starting to be able to finance our operations through our own cash flows. This means that we don't have to take any additional loans to finance future projects, and it also means that things are looking good for us in year 5 once we start to consider exit opportunities. So in year 5, we break over the $1 million revenue mark, and we, like I said, have better cash flows coming in. Our revenue number increases there with not as big of an increase in our expenses, so we start to see a growing margin between revenue increases with smaller increases in the expenses. So let me summarize a few things for you that I think are the important takeaways here. The market is going up. We expect a 34% compound annual growth rate through 2015. It's always good when you see a curve like that. The next thing that's important is the 2x return for our seed investors. We're able to give them back their money within 2 years at a 2x return, which is good for us and it's also good for them. The couple of market forces that we see being inevitably coming into play for our business are that energy costs are going to continue to increase, whatever rate you believe. We assume that they will be going up at some point. And also bulb prices are going to be down. All the data on emerging technologies tells us that prices are going to go down and efficiencies are going to go up. These 2 market factors are going to pay dividends for us as we move into phase 2 of our business model and are able to take profits off of the bigger percent of savings that people experience off of their energy costs. So at this point in time, we'd like to open it up for you guys if you have any questions.
How do you measure, like a large university or college, how can you actually measure the reduction in energy costs when there's a lot of other things going on?
We were lucky enough to get in with some of the facilities management and sustainability people at SMU, and we were really surprised to see the level of documentation that they have on that. SMU is perhaps exceptional in this way that everything has been indexed very thoroughly. So we are able to see the exact number of fixtures, the wattage of each fixture, and there's a dashboard online that'll tell you how long each of those fixtures is on and tell you how much energy each building is using at any given point in time. So we're able to track that actually really closely. And we have some industry data that basically tells us how much of a given commercial building, how much of their energy is dedicated to lighting versus electronics versus heating and cooling, things like that.
So would you try to agree to that up front and say we're going to just assume for this building it's going to be a certain percentage so you don't get into a dispute later as to how you calculate that?
Right, so we still need some flexibility as energy costs change, but we would try and lock in a certain basically rate on that, like a percentage of their energy is assumed to be their lighting. Right? So we would be able to do an analysis at the beginning to determine how much they'd be willing to save, or they'd be able to save rather, and then the variable that would change in there would be energy costs, but their payment would be based on how much we think we can save them by installing LEDs.
So you guys set the baseline in year 0, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's the first phase that I do the kind of gain share over the first 5 years, it's the second phase for 10 years. Have you done the analysis of what their kind of opportunity cost is versus if they just bought the light bulbs?
Yeah, we did. So for the first phase, with the current cost of the light bulbs that they would be obtaining them at, so we're selling them at cost. It turns out that the present value, if they were able to just buy it all up front, it comes out pretty close to the same, especially mainly due to the fact that they're so expensive right now. So they get the benefit of a lower upfront cost. We get the you call it royalty payments or whatever you want to call it, the energy savings payments for those 5 years.
So they're kind of neutral from a NPV basis, but cash flow they're much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's correct. In phase 2, since they get the advantage of essentially no capital expense, because we provide the balls, we provide the installation, over 10 years, the 20% savings, if you wanted to take the present value, they would